Everyone, I'm Morgan from the Goshen Branch Library, and today I wanted to share with you one of my favorite hobbies, pin collecting, and how you can make a really cool craft at home to display all of your favorite pins and buttons that maybe you are interested in collecting as well. So first I'm going to give you just like a brief history of enamel pins and lapel pins and badges and just kind of how they came to be. So it started all the way back in about 1800 BC with the Egyptians, and there would be artists and creators who would use wire and solder it together to make these filigree designs. You fast forward about 600 years from there, Grecian artists would then kind of inlay those wire designs with the coloring that we've come to know as enameling, and they would do so by using powdered glass that they would fill these designs with, and then they would fire it in an oven, kind of like how you would with ceramics. And that process would create the enamel coloring that you see in a lot of these pins that I'm wearing on my jacket. Enameling was further developed by the Chinese during the Yuan dynasty, which lasted from 1271 to 1368 AD, and they even furthered the enamel process by using it to create other pieces of jewelry, vases, decor, all kinds of cool things that you might see around your houses today. If you fast forward a little further to the Civil War period in the States, soldiers would wear them on their uniforms to show organization and recognition, and then post-war veterans would still wear pins to show their patriotism. A lot of pins now are becoming popular again to show political affiliation. They can be seen a lot for sporting events. People wear them to commemorate different things like that. There's a big community of people who do pin trading in theme parks. There are pins that show off different fandoms that you may love and be a part of. That's what a lot of my pins are for, because I love different books and movies and TV shows, and I always like to show that in little ways. Sometimes you can find them in stores when you're on a vacation to get like as a souvenir, just all kinds of really cool things that pins can represent for different individuals. So that's just kind of like a brief history on enamel pins. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of my collection, and we are then going to learn how to craft a pin board like this that you can use to display any enamel pins like this you may have, or any buttons you may have. So let's head on over and get crafting. Okay, so now that we're at our craft table, I can show you just a few simple things that you will need to create your own pin board. You really only need 3 things. You're going to need an embroidery hoop like this. This one is about 6 inches in diameter. You can get smaller ones like this, which are only about 3 if you just maybe have 1 or 2 pins that you want to show off together. Or you can get bigger hoops like these two. I believe this one is about 9 inches in diameter, and this one is 10 inches in diameter, so a little bit bigger if you have larger collections. And you can get all of these pin hoops at your local craft store. You can find them on the internet and order them and have them sent to your door anywhere. And they're all pretty inexpensive. I believe each one of these only cost a couple dollars. You're also going to need some scissors, and you're going to need some fabric, which you can also find at your local craft store. Maybe you have just something laying around your house, an old t-shirt, a towel that has a cool design on it, anything you want to use. I've got 2 different ones here. I've got this one that kind of looks like marble, or this one that looks like outer space. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use the space one today. I've got this square that I already cut down a little bit earlier that has a cool galaxy design on it. So I think we're going to go ahead and use this one and make the 6-inch pin hoop. I really like the size of this one, and you can actually still get a lot of pins on one. This is a completed 6-inch pin hoop that I made in the past that shows my collection of princess pins that I got in the theme parks trading. So this is a really cool collection that I enjoy. And now we're going to go ahead and make a pin hoop that's the same size as this one. And as you can see, I was able to fit 9 pins on here, so you can still get a lot on there. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this part at the top of your hoop and you're going to unscrew this part so that your hoop comes apart into 2 pieces. This comes out of there. We have the screw and the little nut bolt thing, and you can just kind of put those off to the side for now. And then your hoop comes apart into 2 pieces. And what's going to hold our fabric together when we put them back together, there should be enough pressure and tension. There should be enough pressure and tension to hold the fabric. So we're going to take this piece right here. This is the inner piece, and you're going to lay it down. And you're going to take your fabric and place it over top so that you don't see it anymore. And then you're going to take your other piece that comes apart like this, and you're going to fit it around where that inner piece is. And you can kind of reposition this, like, so here's what I have with my fabric right now. If I decide I want to use a different part of the fabric, maybe I want more of this blue instead, then maybe I'll just go underneath and kind of move this around and then reposition the top piece and say, oh, maybe I like that a little better. I like this starburst here and the blue and a little bit of this nebula. Then what you're going to do, once you have your 2 wooden pieces of the hoop in place, you're going to go back to that middle piece. And you're going to just stick it back through the 2 holes at the top. Take the nut. And you're just going to go ahead and screw that back on. Wooden pieces are tightening into place, and you may have to kind of push down some of your fabric as you're going. You're going to want to pull it so that it's tight. And you're going to want to get that all the way turned up there. And then what you can do is kind of pull your fabric into place. Sometimes I'll flip it over and kind of hold this part down. Hold it down like that and pull up at the fabric, just so that it's stretched pretty taut. And once it's got a design that I like that, you're pretty much finished with that step. Just make sure, once again, that the metal piece, the screw at the top, is tight so that you don't have anything coming undone. And then we're just going to flip it over, and we're going to use our scissors and trim around the edge. So remember to be careful. We don't want anybody getting hurt. If you need help from somebody with the scissors, don't be afraid to ask. We're just going to go all the way around. And I we'll get the fabric up near the top of the scissors and kind of hold this to pull tension on that so that it cuts as close to the wood hoop as possible. It also kind of helps to move it. That way you can get through it faster. Okay, so then we have that removed, and we have our pin hoop. Now, next is the 4th optional item that you can use. If you don't have a hot glue gun, it's okay. This is enough. The pressure and the tension from the 2 wooden pieces and the screw at the top should hold your fabric in place. However, if you're like me and you want just a little extra protection, you can take a hot glue gun and glue everything into place. Now there's upsides and downsides to this. If you use the hot glue, you're pretty much stuck with this as your pin hoop. If you don't use the hot glue, if you just rely on the tension of the two wooden pieces, then you can always change your fabric in the future. If you get tired of the one you have, or if you want to display a different collection without making another pin hoop. But again, I like to use some hot glue just to be on the safe side. Okay. You might be able to kind of see. We've got a nice glue line going, so you'll see it on the back, but when you turn the pin hoop over, you should be all good to go. Now, I think we should put a couple pins on here. So I've got a couple pins here that I wanted to put on my pin hoop. I've got these two Star Wars pins. This one's actually more of a button. We mentioned buttons a little bit earlier. Got a backing more like this as opposed to an enamel pin that looks like this. And these kind of buttons, if you ever come and visit us at our library con, you will know that we have a button maker there, and you can get so many cool buttons like this made. This is one of the designs we had last year. We also have this one that says "I need space," which is actually a design that I created myself on the computer. I digitally painted it, and then we printed them and made them into buttons on the button maker. So you might have one of these as well, or you might have this cool Star Wars one, or any of the other cool fandom buttons that we had last year at our library con. So let's go ahead and put these on the pin hoop and see how they look. I think I'm gonna put this one here, and you can just kind of slide it through your fabric. Use the back side, slide it through again. So I've got that one, like that. Might put this cool Star Wars one. Like that. So there's two buttons. And then maybe we can also add this cute BB-8 droid. And just stick it through and put the backing on. We've got some cool pins, just like that, on your very own pin board. So show you really quickly a few other pins in my collection that I brought. I've got these that I showed you at the beginning of the video quickly. So these are all some really cool pins that I received in book subscription boxes over the last year. So sometimes if you subscribe to things like that, you might get a really cool enamel pin. These are all themed on different books. These are some that I also have a collection of that I traded for or purchased in theme parks based on Monsters, Inc., which is pretty cool. You could use the little one I showed you before and just make a little pin hoop like this. That's a Harry Potter pin at the Hogwarts castle. Or some other really cool Star Wars pins like this one that I really love. Got BB-8, Millennium Falcon, Star Destroyer, all kinds of really, really cool things to show your love for different fandoms. And if you're ever wondering where you can get enamel pins, again, different online retailers trade for them in theme parks, sporting events, sometimes just little shops you may visit on vacations will have all kinds of cool pins that you can get to commemorate things. Here's kind of just a close-up of some of my other pins that I love to wear on my jacket. So if you wanted another way to display them kind of on your person when you go out and about so people can see while you're interested, you can always put them on a piece of clothing too. I've got some cool ones right here that all have to do with reading in the library. This one's cool. It's a book cart that we like to use at the library. or the old style of paper card with the stamp. This one's really awesome. I got this one on a trip to Ireland from a really cool independent bookstore there. And it just says, "Tell me what you're reading." I've got a couple of other cool Little Mermaid ones. I've got a Harry Potter one. Another BB-8. This cool one that says "Lost in a Book" that I got from a cool bookstore when I went on a trip to New York. Other book-inspired ones based on some space books that I really liked. These are all some other book-inspired pins from some of my favorite series. Got just this one that says "Books and Cleverness." One from a store that I went to on a trip to Nashville. These two are actually both from different places in Nashville that I got to commemorate that trip. So just all kinds of cool pins you can find all over. And again, some of these are from stores that I've visited on trips. Some of them are from theme parks. And some of them are ones that I found on the internet from artists that create and sell their own work. So that, again, is just another little bit of my collection and another way that you can display your enamel and lapel pins. So thank you so much for joining me today to learn about enamel pins and buttons and how you can make a really, really cool pin hoop to display your collection. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. If you went ahead and made a pin board after seeing this tutorial, I would love to see your creation. So be sure to post them on your social media and tag them at Clermont Library so we can see all of the cool things that you've created and see bits and pieces of your collection. Thanks again so much for joining. Bye!